So this happened last night. It's a snowman. Hey WordNerds, it is Inspiration Corner and I want to talk about interpretation. I'm going to talk about two things that we'd mentioned in the past week, I think, and tie them all together into one thing that hopefully makes a lot of sense. The first is last Sunday, Kelly talked about the 7 basic plots. I think that's coined by Christopher Brooks. Basically, that means that every story ever created fits into one or more of 7 basic plot ideas. So basically that means that there are no more original plot ideas. It's just a bunch of the same stuff with unique spins. That's why it's so easy to hear people say, oh, this book is so much like this other book, when they're not really that similar. Now, tying that theory into my video from last week, which was fighting writer's block by trading one creative medium for another, I got to attend a paint night last night. In a nutshell, paint night is when 40 or so people get together in one room and drink and paint. At this point, you're probably wondering how those two things connect at all, but just bear with me for one more minute because it's all going to make sense. When you sign up for paint night and purchase your tickets for an event, each event is tied to a specific image, and with that image comes an instructor. Everyone in the room is given the same color paints, the same utensils, and the same size canvas to work with. In the very front of the room, the instructor sets up her canvas. One is a completed product of what we're learning to paint, and one is a blank canvas for her to instruct how to create that final image. It was a little bit of the ways into the very beginning of instruction when my brain made the connection. It didn't take us long to get even a portion of our canvas covered in paint, and even then, with a whole image to be created, there wasn't 2 people in my row that had the exact same image on their canvas. The more and more in-depth we got with our critique and our colors, the more and more varied the images became. Out of all of the 40 or so people in that room, no 2 images were the same by the end of the night. Using my awesome painting as a template, our instructions are as follows. A white moon that blended out into a blue sky. We have a black ground and a black silhouetted tree that wrapped slightly around the moon. That was it. The rest that you see here was all my interpretation of that image. I decided to add stars that kind of started looking like snow, so I made it snow. And I added a couple weird stars and some flowers that I copied off of my cousin who was sitting next to me. This was my final product. There was a woman there that instead of doing a night sky, she decided to do a sunrise. So with the same exact colors and everything that we were given, instead of blues and light blues, she used red and yellows. Every single painting there, while looking similar in some ways, was unique in every other way. Now I know that to talk about writing, there's a lot of painting metaphor involved in this, but the bottom line is that if you sit a group of people down and you give them a basic image or even basic plot points for a story, each person is going to come up with something entirely different. And while the theory goes there are only 7 different original plot ideas, what you can do with those 7 original ideas is limitless. You can take something that someone has done a million times and do it completely different. I put a link in the box below for further reading on these 7 basic plots, and if you are at least 21 in the US and 18 or 19 in Canada, depending on where you live, I have posted a link to the Paint Nite site, and you should definitely check it out and get a group of friends together because it was the most fun that I've had in a really long time. And if you're under 21 and you want to do it, get a group of friends together and host your very own Paint Night in your house. It's basically the same thing. You don't have to have alcohol to be creative. And as I so eloquently put it in my last video, you never know what you're going to create while you're creating. I'm sticking to it, folks.